Today, I am thrilled to welcome a powerhouse in the business world, an entrepreneur, successful podcaster, motivational speaker, and a business consultant. Please welcome Mick Hunt. Hey, everybody out there. Thank you for jumping on the Homefront. I am Jeff Dudan, and today we are with Mick Hunt. Mick, welcome.
Jeff, thanks for having me on, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been watching your podcast grow, and we got a little bit fascinated with it. So I'm excited to have you on the show here today.
I'm excited to be on as well, man. And I love your podcast as well. So I'm a huge fan. So when your team reached out, I was like, absolutely. Jeff and I are about to crush this one today.
Oh, 100%. Great. Mick, would you share a little bit about who you are, how you grew up?
Yeah, man. So I am Mick Hunt, obviously. I'm a Leo. I like running on the beach. I like sand in between my... that's not what you wanted, Jeff? My bad.
Well, no, it is. I usually just get that after.
No, so grew up in Greenville, South Carolina, went to college at the University of North Carolina, so I'm a Tar Heel through and through. But my journey, Jeff, man, started with a promise that I made my mom at the age of 10. And a lot of folks that know me know a little bit about this story, but I'm going to go deep with you, Jeff. So, 10 years old, for 10 years, I had been watching my mom go through physical, emotional, psychological, financial abuse from my father. And at 10, I'm sitting at the edge of my bed and I have tears running down my face. But the tears aren't mine. They're the tears of my mom who had just suffered a horrific night, right? And so I'm sitting there and I'm telling my mom, like, leave. Like, please just leave. Like, I'll deal with it. You and my sister go. I'll handle it. And my mom looked at me and said, no, because I love you, I'm not going to let you suffer. If one suffers, we all suffer. And that stuck with me. And so that moment, Jeff, I decided that I was at some point going to get my mom out of that torment. And I didn't know what that looked like at 10. Like, I'm not going to lie to the audience. I didn't have the answers at 10. But at 10, I made the decision that I was going to change my mom's life. And so everything that I did growing up was for that reason, was to get my mom out of that situation, to get my sister out of that situation, my brother who was born later, to get him out of that situation. And so growing up where I grew up, Jeff, and I know you're from this, or you live in the South now. I don't know if you're from the South, but when I grew up, you saw success as either being an athlete or an entertainer, right? Or a doctor or a lawyer. Like, that pretty much was what success looked like. And so I was going to be one of those four things. I was going to be a doctor, a lawyer, an entertainer, or an athlete. And so everything that I did in life was striving to be the best. Went to college and was not either of those four things. But what I realized was that business was a way to make all of your dreams come true, so to say. So started my career as an insurance agent, realized that I was helping someone live their dreams. I tell this story, he was winning trips to Paris, to Rome, Italy, to Banff, Canada, to Atlantis. And then he was sending me on trips to Atlanta, right? And I don't know if you know this, Jeff, but Atlantis and Atlanta are not the same thing. And so that sparked me to start my own business so that I could fulfill the promise that I made to my mom. So I was an entrepreneur, business owner at the age of 27, and I've never looked back. And that has really driven me, but the drive really was the promise that I made my mom.
Greenville, South Carolina.
Yes.
Went to school at Chapel Hill. Yep. Now, did your sister and brother also get out of Greenville?
No. So long story, my parents ended up divorcing my sophomore year of college, and I'm the oldest. So my sister, I think, was a junior in high school. My brother was like 5 years old. So it was one of those things where it was a later deal, but they all live in South Carolina now.
Okay. Yeah. Somehow between the age of 27, starting your own business, and then today, you've become a very successful podcaster, a sought-after speaker, a consultant, a business consultant, it looks like. Walk me through that first business and maybe the decision to make that business, and then how did that lead to who Mick is today?
Yeah, that's a great question and a great story. So again, I started in the insurance industry, so I was a sales manager for an agent, helping grow that business. He had goals of being like the biggest, baddest agent in the country, and we made that happen. But what I realized was that I could do that for myself. So the catapult for me at 27 was proving that I could do it. And I built one of the fastest growing insurance agencies without merger, without acquisition in a 3-year period. Ended up selling that business at the age of 31 for several million dollars. I'll just put it that way. Wasn't looking to sell, but it was one of those things where, like the Godfather movie, right? Like put a napkin on a table, and I was like, yeah, if this is real, then let's go make this happen. So sold my agency, went to go head up another large business where I just implemented the strategies that I had in my existing business, and that company went from 50 million of revenue to 70 million of revenue in 4 years. And that's when I said, Jeff, you know what? I want to show other business owners how to do this, because a lot of times we make growth and scaling much harder than it needs to be. I'm not going to exaggerate and say that it's easy, but when you focus on the right key performance indicators, I made a decision that I wanted to help business owners do this, right? And so again, focus on the right KPIs, running it like a true CEO was really what I was doing. And so I created a consulting firm. You know, consultants kind of have a bad name, right? Bad image. You hire this company and they're going to come give you some rule books, but they don't know your business. They don't know how
Well,
to
I tell you what I
I've
told
been
my
very
wife consultants are is somebody that you pay so much money to tell you what you already know to do, but you've paid them so much that you will actually do it. Yeah. And
exactly.
there's accountability,
And that
right?
literally it, and that's what I and my team become. We like to say we're your chief revenue officer, your outsourced chief revenue officer, but more importantly, we're your accountability. We're going to make sure that the things that we're going to accomplish are the things that we actually are going to accomplish and do it together. But that's been my thing, Jeff, is really helping businesses become who they are. But it all goes back to my core principles of I made promises, right? And so I talk to business leaders about what's your real why, not the superficial why, but I call it your because. What's your because? What's that real reason that you're doing what you do? And let's do everything around that. And so that's been who I've been, Jeff, since the day I started my
Okay,
career.
Mick, who's a typical client for you? What do they look like? Just is it 5 million, 10 million, 20 million in revenue, or what's it look like?
Yeah, so I'd say typically anywhere from small, say 3 to 5 million revenue, but then I have a couple of Fortune 500 companies as well. Different dynamics, but I can tell you the problem that we solve, or where most people are looking to hire me or my team. It's really you're stuck,
Yeah.
right? Like you're stuck with how do I grow, and more importantly, how do I attract the new modern customer, and then how do I provide that experience? Because Jeff, like all of us are the modern buyer now, right? Like when people hear modern buyer, they immediately think age. Well, that's not the truth, right? Like we all buy differently. My mom now, Jeff, buys her groceries with an app and just pulls her car up and has them delivered to her car, right? My mom's not a 20-year-old. My mom's not a millennial or whatever the new generation is, but that's how we all buy. And so we really help businesses that are stuck with this new modern buyer. And then more importantly, once they are a customer, the experience that they should
Yeah.
have.
So $1 million business, it used to be that $1 million businesses were the absolute hardest size of business to run because you don't have enough revenue to hire real qualified middle management. You don't have enough revenue to hire a seasoned, experienced executive team. But yet
Yeah,
you still have all the functions of $1 billion business. You've got sales, accounting, finance,
absolutely.
technology. And if you can't pay attention, if you're just executing inside of a business like that, and maybe that's a $3 to $5 million business today, and you don't have your head up on the horizon, especially now with AI and how fast things are changing. And, there's things that I literally looking at things today for our business that used to be a 4-month project with a project manager, with some technologists, assessing and integrating some software technology into something. And at the end of it, you would have this outcome. And we were all doing those projects. Maybe it's $100 or $200,000 project to get this thing implemented. And then I'm on the phone with somebody, an ex-naval military intelligence officer who's been working in AI for 3 years. And he's like, here, this does everything. I can install it in a week and it's $300 for your whole company. And I'm like, okay. And it does it all. So like, if you're not out there, I'm spending more, and probably 50% of my travel time is split between recruiting the right people to lead our businesses, and then out there figuring out who's got that customer acquisition cocktail that includes intelligent consumer engagement, ranking how to identify out of the massive list of potential customers, who are the 5-star customers, who's engaging right now, who's ready to be talked to. And I'm telling you, it's every month I'm finding something new. So if you're a $3 to $5 million business owner and you're just like, I'm really comfortable, I got another 10 years to retirement, I just want to keep doing what I'm doing, you're at risk right now. Like, you are at big risk of being either made obsolete, or somebody coming to you and saying, I'm going to give you pennies on the dollar for your business because it's or we're going to roll you over and take it.
Totally agree. I totally agree. Like, I actually just spoke 2 weeks ago on that very similar topic, Jeff, where I told people literally what you just said. If you're not evolving, like our technology and AI is evolving, you probably won't be here in the next 3 years. Because if you're not trying, trust me, other people are. And what Jeff and I are not saying is AI is going to replace humans. That's not what we're saying. But those companies that don't utilize AI, those are the ones that are going to get replaced. Or maybe it's not AI, but maybe it's machine learning, but something. If you're not using some type of advanced technology in your business, you're not going to make it. And you're not going to attract what I'm going to call the modern buyer, right? Like, you're missing customers that you never knew existed, but more importantly, they don't know you exist either. And that's
so here's something I'm observing right now. Like a forest fire or a fast-moving brush fire in the mountains, right? The winds are just right. That's what I'm seeing in acquisition of small businesses right now. Because the compelling argument that you can make that if you put your business onto this platform and we put these tools around it, that it is going to drive 5 times the value than you're able to drive in keeping it yourself and driving it yourself. And I'm seeing like the roll-up game right now. And it doesn't almost matter. It's like, it's if you have customers in any business, service industry, insurance industry, any of those things, there are people that have constructed these migration implementation platforms, and so they can pay you a lot for your business because it's worth many times more than that when they get it onto their system. And I don't know, I said, I probably shouldn't say this, but that's when I go ahead and say it, Mick. So I used to work with a guy, right? And he's, we're in Huntersville, North Carolina. And this guy was a 2nd generation real estate guy, residential properties, commercial properties. So their family was in Huntersville when there was nobody in Huntersville. So they just bought farmland and they bought houses and they bought buildings, and they just ended up with lots and lots of property. And this guy was 2nd generation. So they've been accumulating property for 30 or 40 years. And, you can imagine stuff you bought in the 50s, if you still owned it today. And, he said to me, and then he said this like 10 or 15 years ago, he said, Jeff, there's just no more stupid farmers left. And I mean, he made, and that sounds horrible to all the farmers out there, but well, actually that's just Bill Gates, but, he owns all the farms now. Sorry, Bill. But, he would say, I mean, the point was, it's like, I mean, he did a same day, he had a family friend And she was a German lady, and they owned this beautiful piece of property. And, he had been eating Sunday supper with them and all of that kind of stuff. And, he went and bought that property from this lady for $200,000 and did a same day close to a developer out of Atlanta for $3 million. And it's like, and I mean, did he take advantage? I probably, but he had the connections, he had the contacts to do it. And, and my son said to me the other day, we're business builders, we're blue collar guys, we build businesses. And then, private equity comes in and makes the real money on our lifetime of work that we do. But the how many people are out there right now that say, hey, my business is worth $2 million, and somebody comes in and offers them $4 million. Right. And they're like, this is the greatest. And it's a great deal for them. And they take it, but it was really worth 12 in a different platform, looking at it from a different view with different tools. It was worth more. And I think this value creation through acquisition from a technology enabled position is, like I said, it's a wildfire. And I'm seeing it very quietly start to kick up in different industries and different markets. My question is what's the earth going to be like after that's done? Because a very few people are going to own a lot more of everything. So, exactly. And we see it in real estate with the private equity firms, started some years ago, decided we need to own all the homes in America. Thank you to the sponsor of today's episode, Window Hero. With Window Hero, it's time to start those exterior home projects that you've been putting off, like pressure washing your home's exterior or cleaning your gutters. No need to do it yourself. Leave it to the experts at Window Hero to clean your home or business. Visit www.windowhero.com for your free estimate today. That's www.windowhero.com. Now, back to the episode.
And that's what's going on in the insurance space as well, too, right? I mean, I'm sure you can see it. I don't care where you're at now, but go out and look and see how many nationwide State Farm, Allstate agencies you see now compared to just even 10 years ago. It's not as many. Private equities come into the insurance space, and the exclusives, the independents are all now parts of big conglomerates. It's almost like college football and realignment, right? Like soon there's just going to be like 2 or 3 conferences. I feel like that's how the insurance industry is going to be, and probably the real estate industry, right? Like there's going to be like 3 or 4 big private equity companies, and you're going to belong to one of them.
Yeah, and I think so. It seems to be the way of the world. And I just don't know. I don't know what's on the other end of it when so much wealth gets accumulated in such a small place. And I think historically, when the middle class shrinks in other countries, it's usually not a good thing. Yeah, so so that's what we do. I mean, there's really 3 things we care about at Homefront Brands, and part of it is financial security, economic freedom for families on Main Street USA through business ownership. Businesses are a hedge against inflation. Business ownership lets you take advantage of the tax code, so you can be very tax efficient with your earnings from a business, not only when you sell it under capital gains, but also when you're building it. Take advantage of all the deductions that you get there, and it's going to move with inflation. So if prices go up, the prices in your business go up. If wages go up, your wages go up. But at least you have a hedge. Businesses are a high class asset, as you found out, and so we care greatly about giving families the opportunity to participate in business ownership. And it doesn't have to be the only thing that they do, but it can be one of the things that they do, because businesses are a high class asset as part of anybody's portfolio. And then the other thing we care about is children. We're committed by 2037 to give away 1 million books to children. And we've partnered with Ben and Candy Carson and Carson Foundation to build reading rooms across the country. We're building 2 this year. We want to build 2 or 3 or 4, as many as we can every year with the Carson family in schools. So Homefront brand reading rooms. And then we care a great deal about transitioning veterans So we are partnered with Operation Homefront, where we support transitioning veterans, anything that they need. Patriotism is way down in this country, and the military is about 60% of where they need to be in terms of volunteer people signing up. And military is a great option for many, many people, especially with the technology today that you can learn and all of that great stuff. So those are the things that we care about. That's what gets us out of bed in the morning here at Homefront Brands. But the business, like, it's build a business for you, build a business for your family.
I love that. That's amazing. So I know, Jeff, you're the interviewer, but I've got a question for you, though.
I just took over the interview. I forgot. I thought I was on your show for a minute.
Hey, we'll repurpose it or something. Who knows, right? But knowing what I know about Homefront Brands and the values that you place, where do you think the biggest challenge is for the family or the person that's like, I want to start a business, but I don't know if I can? What do you see as the biggest challenge?
Look, you just have to commit, and you have to decide that that's what you want to do. You can say it's economics, but man, getting into a property service franchise is not expensive. You can, there's all kinds of different ways to fund these things. You can fund them through a rollover your 401k. You can get an SBA loan. You can, some of our fees are so low, you can put things on credit cards. But it's really just about deciding that you're at an inflection point, which usually has three things around it. Number one, people that you're responsible for, people that you care about, your mom, your brother, and your sister, people that you want to do something with, or sometimes even people that you want to get away from. But there's always a people component to an inflection point. Then it's an adventure or an opportunity to do something different, to bet on yourself, to do something great. And then there's a risk of loss, because generally, if you're going to focus on something new, something's got to come off your plate. And you have to make it's just really this conscious decision of, I'm going to trade this potential future of my life for this other potential future for my life. And then you run the scenarios and you just say, is it worth it? But the deal is like, once, it's like I used to coach little kids in football. And the deal was this. We ran a very autonomous program. I taught them everything in the first third of the season. We coached them the last third of the season and the middle third of the season. And then in the last third of the season, we turned the team over to the kids and we let them be autonomous. And man, dude, they were warming up loose, just like a college team, and they weren't doing push-ups, or we didn't have them lined up in lines, but man, they played fast, loose, and for each other. And we won more championships than we lost. So, when you can get people that are playing for themselves and for a purpose and for the people, person to the left of them and the person to the right to them, anything is possible in this life. So, that's what it has to be. You've got to be committed to building this business. You might not like every piece of it. Nobody does. There's things you have to do. But it always comes down to can't or won't, right? Either, very, very 99.9% of the time, it's not can't, because people can do it. It's just they won't do it. And so that's where that commitment piece comes in. Our businesses work. They work great, until they don't. And it's usually because you've had a genius attack and you've tried to make this your business in your way instead of doing it our business in our way. But of course. So it all comes down to that first step of making a commitment and making a decision, and all of that. And then you've got to, because you never know what are the decisions and the roads and the challenges that are going to come up. You just have to realize that it's not fatal, and chaos will be the norm, and you've got a lot of learning to do.
Absolutely.
But over time, you will build the muscles, and you will build the muscle memory, and you'll start seeing things not for the first time, but for the second, third, fourth, and fifth time, and you'll know what to do. And then it comes down to, once you establish a beachhead, then it becomes who, not how. Like, who do you put on your ability to scale anything is going to be directly correlated to the people that you can put around you. And that's that. So we work them through, so that's what I love, man. I'm a coach. I love working them through these phases. But like I went back to the football analogy, I would teach these kids, once you step across that white line onto the field, you cannot recontract. You cannot decide not to tackle. You cannot decide not to jump on a loose ball. You cannot decide to walk when you need to run. Like the decision was made when your parents signed you up, and if you decide you have to shut the door to a failure behind you, and you've just got to burn the boats and, move forward with it, which comes back to the whole commitment thing. And that's what life is, man. It's just about picking the right opportunities with the right people and then making sure that you execute on those things. So, if we want to transition over to this, I'd love to talk about the Mick Factor philosophy, because we 4 pillars of it. And I really am very interested in a couple of these, but if you don't mind, would you share a little bit about that? Because I've got some specific questions, but what is that? I don't want to never answer an unasked question. So I'm not gonna. I will see what I can learn from you on these 4 pillars, and then I'll maybe have a couple of questions that are just nagging at me.
Yeah, man. So, you probably know this, but Les Brown, motivational speaker, is one of my personal mentors. And Les and I have like a father-son relationship. We talk literally 4 to 5 times a day. We start our morning talking to each other. We talk to each other right before we go to bed. Like, that's the relationship that we have. And part of what he saw in me were my core beliefs and my core principles. And anyone that's ever worked with Les, he's going to give you an acronym. And he was like, Mick, what you're saying is that you have the Mick factor. And everything that you've been able to do, you've done it because mental resiliency and mastery. So the M, right? Imagination and innovation, the I. Character and courage, the C. Knowing yourself and the power to keep going, the K. And so to me, that embodies not just a leader, but also just, I'm going to say, a great human being, right? Because life is about humans being humans. And so I like to impart the Mick factor as a way to always give your best in the situation that you're in. I never tell people that your yesterday's best should be your today's best, right? Like, if Jeff wakes up and he's not feeling 100%, I can't expect him to be who he was yesterday. But I can't expect Jeff to give me the best version of Jeff that he can today. And so that's what the Mick factor does. It reminds me that, hey, there's things that I've got to make sure that I do. And in order to be the best, again, going back to that 10-year-old me, in order to be the best, in order to be the kid that made straight A's, or the kid that was going to be a first round draft pick, or the kid that was going to be a doctor or a lawyer, I had to have mental resiliency. I had to master something, right? Like Bruce Lee says, I fear not the man that practices, over 10,000 kicks. I fear the man that practices one kick 10,000 times, right? And so you've got to master something. And that goes into what we do with executive coaching as well, too. Like, what's your business really going to be? And are you going to keep the main thing the main thing? And then, as you know, Jeff, with business, especially in today's world, imagination and innovation is huge, right? Like, you can't stay the same. And as things evolve, you have to evolve. And so if you're not using your imagination, and if you're not using innovation to your advantage, you're not going to be there. And then with courage and character, you hit it on the head. It was like I almost asked you that question, right? Like, you've got to have the courage to take the first step, because you're never going to take the first step until you take it. And sometimes that takes courage. And then character, to me, is like the most important thing. Are you really going to have integrity with what you do? It would have been very easy for me at 31 years old to be a multi-millionaire to forget who I was, right? And I think for a lot of us, we go through that phase, whether it's relationships, whether it's business, whatever. There's always moments that challenge us and challenge our character. And for anyone listening, don't think it's not going to happen or it hasn't happened, right? But are you really going to be the person that you say you are? And then that leads to know who you are, right? Like, you've got to know that you have greatness within you, as Les Brown would say. I probably owe him $20 for saying that today, because that's his deal. But then more importantly, keep going, because life is gonna life, right? Like, life is really gonna smack you at some point. And how do you respond? And are you gonna keep going? And if you were to ask me, Jeff, what separates good from great? Because I hate when people try to quantify, here's average, here's good, here's great, here's exceptional. Those rungs on the ladder aren't equal, right? Like, the rung between good And great is really like this. It's not right here. It's not this small little step. But the difference is people are battle tested and they keep going. And at some point, you're going to come on the other side. Right. And so to me, that's what the Mick factor really is. It's the core pillars that can make you the best version of you every single day.
Imagination is an interesting piece. You don't hear a lot about that, but you said something. I read this book, How Google Works, and this is an older book. I mean, it's been out for a while. And they talk about how they built that company on smart creatives. And as I think about AI and the ability to fix code and do all this stuff, a lot of engineering, a lot of coding type stuff is now getting easier for more people to do through these tools. So smart creatives who can think about the question as opposed to the mechanics of working through to getting to an answer are the ones that are really going to be able to leverage these tools. So from an I find it interesting that you have imagination in here, and I wonder if you could just talk a little bit deeper about how you encourage your clients to access their imagination and maybe how it impacts their leadership.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell people this all the time, like your vision will show you where you want to go. Imagination is actually how you get there, right? Like Jeff, to use a football analogy, we know if we start at the 20-yard line and we're going to the end zone, our vision shows us how to get there, right? We know where it is, but our imagination is what takes us to the end zone, right? Exactly. Because nothing's going to be as simple as going from point A to point B. And so for me, that's what imagination as a leader has to be a core principle. Imagination for a business has to be a core principle because you always have to evolve, right? Like if everything were easy and simple, everyone in this world would be billionaires, right? But the one thing that most billionaires have in common, Jeff, is that they had imagination to get to where they were. Right. Like, I don't know any billionaire. Number one, I don't personally know a ton of billionaires. I know a few, but all of them were creative and used imagination to come up with a new answer to a problem or a new question that maybe doesn't exist yet. And so, like, if you talk to a Damon John, a Mark Cuban, they're all going to tell you they didn't solve today's problem. They solved the problem that nobody's thinking about. And to me, that's what imagination is the ability to see steps beyond steps. And for everyone that's listening or that's watching, like literally for your business, for your personal life, what is the solution that you're providing that no one's thought about? Because to me, that's the essence of true imagination in your business.
It's to see things clearly in the future and to have the conviction to pursue them today. There's a Chinese proverb that says brilliance is, and of course I'm going to butcher this, but the ability to look like a fool amongst the crowd and to withstand it. Like brilliance is, you've got to be the first one to see it. And you got to be going after it. And most people are going to, how many of these stories do you hear where we had 120 private funding meetings, venture capital meetings, and nobody would fund us. And now it's Uber or something like that. Right. So you got to be able to stand among the crowd and see it. So we're doing this thing. So one of my buckets, when I sold my business and I tried my best Steve Jobs and I wrote up four squares on the whiteboard. And I said, when Jobs came back and, they were in 100 business lines and he said, we're just going to do these four things. And that's when they recruited him back and he built Apple into what it is today. And so, I had a bucket on my future imagination and it was called intellectual property, just IP. And, it's okay. What is that? Well, it can be a podcast. It can be a book or two. It can be trademarks. It can be speaking. But now there's all these little tools out there, like where they're either blockchain tools or they're IP repositories where you don't even have to file a trademark or a patent. You can just put the idea in there. And because of the blockchain, it'll prove that it was your idea on this date. So,
Mhm.
so I'm building my team around me, assistants and specialists and stuff like that, so that we can really pursue this IP. But when I have that conversation in a meeting and I'll say, hey, we're going to use this tool and we're going to use that tool and we're going to use this tool. And, here's all the little things that I want to put in there. And we're just going to start protecting everything that we come up with. We're just going to start protecting. It might be $100 I came up with this little phrase, cash is king, but equity is the kingdom. Right. I'm like, well,
That's
right.
it.
Right. That's a tweet for sure. But,
Right.
and I've been saying it and now people are playing it back to me and I'm like, oh, I should probably protect that because unless,
Mhm.
there's a chance I heard it somewhere, but I don't think so. But we're in this room with a diverse set of people and they all start coming up with saying, I had this idea about this. I had this idea about that. So, and it's just a whole fun time of people telling you all the inventions, all the ideas, all the things they think the world needs that don't currently exist that they can't find anywhere online.
Mhm.
And they're everywhere. But people don't act on them. They don't write them
Yep.
down. They don't protect
Yep.
them. And they certainly, don't say, you know what, I'm going to give up something to go after this crazy idea
Right.
that could be the next RJ45 connector that plugs a phone into the wall where the guy made billions of dollars, because he had the
Mhm.
patent on that, or who knows what it is, and it's so these, the ideas that people can imagine are flowing in and out of people's brains every day, but the conviction
Mhm.
to actually say, that's a business because that's a future need that people have.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. So I love,
Yeah.
and I
Because I
think
think
today more than
now,
ever, I think creativity and imagination, channeled the right way, paid attention to, can create dividends for people.
no, I agree with that 1,000% because I think one of the challenges today, especially with, I'm going to say the generation younger than us, Jeff, is that if it can't go on TikTok and go viral, they don't consider it to be a great business idea, right? And to me, it's there's money in the mundane. That's why I tell people there's money in the mundane. So be mundane
What's the
sometimes.
most
It's okay.
viral thing you've ever done, Mick? You got anything that ever went viral?
Nope. And I don't even try to think of anything to go viral either. Like one of my most viewed podcasts is with Les Brown. Like that's the only thing that's going to go viral, and it wasn't even me. It was Les doing something silly. But like I've never tried to do anything viral. I don't pay attention if something has gone viral. Like I don't know. What about you?
The quarterback Sam Hartman who played for Notre Dame. Yeah,
In Wake Forest,
yeah.
yeah.
I had him.
Yeah.
I went down and the day before the draft, I went down and he's a family friend, so I went down and did him. The
Mhm.
one clip that went viral wasn't my core audience. Was, does Sam Hartman have a girlfriend? That's the most viral thing we've got. I
There
don't
you
know, what has it
go.
got? 400, 500,000 views or something like that. It's yeah. The
Crazy.
answer, for those wondering, yes, he does. So save yourself the
You just ruined some
save
hearts,
yourself
Jeff. Just ruined
the
some
pain of
hearts.
going to find that clip. Um,
There
so
you go.
when is it you came to understand that because could be more powerful than why?
That's a great question. So I don't want to be cliche and say when I was 10, but I would say literally halfway through my first business, when I kept going back to the more success I have, the better my mom is going to be, right? My mom is my why also, right? But it was because of promise that I made. It was because I didn't want to let her down. And to me, that was more powerful because I had to look myself in the mirror every day, right? And did I let my mom down today? Did I give my best, right? When you know what your why is, it's awesome, right? Like I'm sure everyone's kids are their why, everyone's spouses are their why, right? But why? Right. So what's the true reason? Like if you ask why 5 or 6 times, you get to the actual answer, right? Like, yeah, I'm sure you've done this with your kids, right? Why? Why? Why?
Oh
Then
yeah,
you
I'm
get to the
pulling
real
my hair
answer.
out while I'm saying that.
Right. But well, that sixth or seventh is your actual because. And so that's why I like to go deeper. And I actually do this exercise with businesses that I coach as well, too, is we get rid of mission and vision statements at your business because most of the time those statements were created by a marketing firm or marketing company or marketing consultant. And no one on your team really embraces or they're not really impacted by your mission and vision statement. And honestly, this was a Harvard Business Review study. Only 8% of customers even know a mission or vision statement of one of the top brands that they work with or that they do business with. But a because statement can be powerful. So we actually have businesses go through a because statement exercise and we really boil it down to what's the real reason that your business does what it does for its consumers. And that should be your because statement. You don't need a mission statement. You don't need a vision statement. I could probably guess everyone who's listening that owns or works at a business, I could probably guess within 5 words what your mission and vision statement is because most of them all sound the same, right? But if I told you, Jeff, we do what we do at Premier Strategy Box or at Mick Unplugged because results matter to our customers, that means something, right? Because results matter. Because somebody gave a darn, right? Like that's an example of one that one of my clients changed theirs to. Because someone gave a darn, we could start this charitable foundation that we have that gives back to veterans and servicemen and women. Because someone gave a darn. You're going to remember that as a consumer. You're going to connect with that. If I say our mission is to be the most sought after real estate agency in the country, and we have a vision to be the leader in our community, which I'm sure everybody that's listening, you have something like that in your mission and vision statements. I promise you that doesn't resonate with anyone. And I promise you, no one on your team can recite them either.
Dude, I really, really like that. Yeah. I like that a lot. That makes a lot of sense.
Like when I go speak, I'll say, okay, who's the business owner here and who are the employees, and raise your hand, right? If you're the business owner, don't look at me. If you're an employee, look at me. Can you recite your mission and vision statement verbatim right now? And hardly anyone's hands go up. And I say, get rid of them, right? Like, don't put them on your website. Like if they don't connect with you personally, if they don't give you chills when you think about it, get rid of them.
Yeah, so we have a vision statement and it's long. Our purpose statement is embedded within it and it's impacting future generations. And we do that by the 3 things that I mentioned earlier. So that's tight. But I wonder what the because would be. You know, like why does it matter that we impact future generations? What would be, you know, if we did a because statement exercise?
Because your legacy matters. Right. And
Jen, call Easy IP and before Mick does and get that.
That's my gift to you, Jeff.
All right.
But knowing what I know about Homefront brands, though, right? Like you do what you do because legacies matter, or because your financial legacy should matter, right? But
yeah, but it's more than just financial.
Along those lines,
it's more than that,
right?
Yeah, I like. You know, I am impulsive, but that might work its way into the deck or something. You know, I'm definitely going to do an exercise. I'm definitely going to look at that.
It's my Christmas gift to you. Jeff.
Thank you so much. And it's Christmas in July.
Right. Because Christmas happens every year. You know?
It does. Okay, got it. Because Christmas happens. That could be somebody's because statement. Right. Like what is it? Franklin Ministries. Have you ever done that where they pack up all the boxes up here? That's halfway between you. That's down in Fort Mill, I think, right? Yeah.
Yep.
We've done that as a family. That's pretty cool. What is that? Do you remember the name of that?
I don't.
Franklin. It's Franklin Graham, Billy Graham's son, and they're packing up and you pack up all those boxes and you send them all over the world for Christmas. Yeah. Yeah, we did that. That was pretty cool. That would be great. Awesome. Well, fantastic. Boy, I enjoyed that so much. I've lost my train of thought. I'm all in. You got me all in my belly button now, Mick. I'm thinking about our business. I'm supposed to be thinking about yours, but I guess that's, you know what?
So
But that's a
listener.
testament to what you do. What a perfect example of, great advisory and great consulting right there in real live
There you
action.
go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. Awesome. So as you imagine your future from here, what types of things do you put in that picture?
Yeah. So, the reason I moved back home, and you and we talked offline, right? And part of it is I have nieces and nephews now. And so, I'm such a family person. If you can't tell, family means a lot to me, and it's my driver. And so being able to be closer to them and then coming back to the community that I'm going to say shaped some of the ideals that I have, and just being able to be active in a community that I care about, right? And so for me, the future is really just continuing to impact individual lives and businesses through whatever avenues that I can, whether that's, building online communities, whether that's doing things in podcast or bringing some of my friends who have been guests on my podcast to actually come speak or just show up at places, right? Like I feel like being a giver and being a servant leader never gets old. And so that's what my future is going to continue to do.
Coming from Raleigh, which is a
Mhm.
fast growing Cary, Raleigh area, fast growing. Greenville was one of the fastest growing towns and counties in the United States. For
It doesn't look like it did when I left when
no,
I was 18. I can
no,
promise
lots of
you.
businesses, beautiful downtown area. You got the river there, all kinds of stuff going on. We would stop. My daughter went to Clemson, and sorry. Well,
I'm a Tar Heel
yeah,
and
I
Tar
know
Heel
it. I know it. So my son married a Tar Heel, and we went to the graduation. 2 years ago, maybe. She's in pre med now. She's at Wake Forest Medical
Okay.
School, and I think it was when I think he went to the national championship, but I think he didn't quite finish. Right?
I like that. We
Didn't
didn't
quite. You
finish.
just, but you
Exactly.
ran out of time, Mick. You didn't lose. You ran out of time. But the great thing about that team was they had no expectations of making it that far, and they just went on a run and just really through some. I think, some great guard play, and I think I remember the season well.
I do too. You know what I remember most about that season, and probably what I'm most proud of, Jeff, and I'm going to get real emotional when I say this. I'm going to come into the mic and I'm going to look Jeff in his eyes. We beat Coach K in his last game. To all my Dukies out there, that season went very well for us.
Well, so you don't you so Clemson's just you have casual dislike for, but Duke, you're actively you act.
I don't use the word hate often, but the 4-letter word that goes with hate is usually Duke. That's how that goes.
All right. Well, we shoot for fair and balanced reporting here on Homefront Brands, but when it comes not except when it comes to college sports in the Carolinas, which is huge. But yeah, I mean, we would on our way back from visiting her, we would always stop in Greenville, and there's just up to something going somewhere town, and I'm sure you're going to find a lot of. I don't think now your client base. Because of your affiliations that you have with Les Brown and others, I mean, are you working nationally, or do you try to work to where you can comfortably and easily get your hands on people?
We're internationally, for sure, for sure. So we have clients in 8 countries and 3 continents. So yeah, we're out there, and I have a team, so it's not just me. Like I promise you, I'm the least smart person on my teams. So we have a great team that does amazing things. And, COVID introduced the world to remote meetings. And so it makes it a lot easier for us to do what we do.
Awesome. Well, fantastic. Mick, is there anything else you'd like to cover before we jump off here today?
No, I just appreciate you having me on. Like I said, I've been a fan for a very long time. So this is like almost bucket list for me to be on here with you.
Well, that's very kind. I appreciate it. And you've got a new fan in me. I think this has been great. I really appreciate it. I got a lot of respect for what you do and how you do it. And, maybe we can find a way to work together. I can certainly, if I understand who your clients are, as I'm knocking around this world, maybe I can make some introductions for you and vice versa.
And same. I was going to say same, like I reciprocate. So to me, again, back to being good humans, that's what good humans do. So
100%. Last question for you. If you had one sentence to make an impact in somebody's life, what would that be?
Keep your inner circle tight. Keep your inner circle tight. From experience, I will tell you, everyone that's for you isn't always for you. So make sure you keep your inner circle tight.
Got it. Perfectly said. We'll end on that. Mick, thanks for being on.
Thank you for
having me. All right.
Me.
This has been Mick Hunt with Jeff Dudan, and we have been on the Homefront. Thanks for listening.